over at Expert Dojo. Again, we have another fun-filled day, and we're going to be focused on the same basic fundamentals, same basic assists, and hopefully the same basic output. Fundamentals are that we're going to be speaking about revenue generation, how to build startup, how to become a venture backable company that investors are going to invest into. Same basic assist, because I'm going to bring on an incredible startup that has built out their organization. They're at 200% growth now. They're using WhatsApp as an amazing way to be able to break through. And I want you to learn from that. And I see what you're going to do on community. And then it's going to take you to a place where you're going to be able to do better yourself. Now, remember, every week we cover a different topic. We will either look at one of the companies that Expert Dojo has invested in and why that company is doing incredibly well, so you can take something from it, or we look through another area as well. And every week I will normally take something that has happened the previous week and I'll dig deeper into that. This week, I want to talk about building domain expertise. I want to talk about how successful outreach to enterprises is and how successful actually being able to build your domain is. But first of all, before we do that, I want to bring in Swati. I want to take her into this incredible conversation, and you're going to learn from one of the best companies we have from a growth perspective about what she's done. Now, if you're an investor looking at this, then you should be rightfully thinking, 200% year after year, that's the kind of company that gets to a unicorn, yes. And if you're a startup, you should be thinking, I want to be able to do that. How did she do it? So we're going to talk a little bit about the journey with a very strong focus on the growth. So come on in, Swati. How are you?
Fine. I'm good. How are you?
I am excellent. I've got my fingers crossed and I'm hoping, because where are you calling in from today?
I'm actually calling in from India. I'm in India right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Whereabouts?
from Bangalore, India.
So I've got my fingers crossed because I am hoping that the internet maintains between
Yes,
Bangalore and Madrid, where I'm calling in from myself. And so we're going to talk about growth. And let me do a little bit of an introduction first.
sure.
So we invested in Swati a couple of years back, and we loved the idea of what her company was doing. Now, if you'd have said to me 2 years ago, what's the topic that you're going to be speaking about with BetterMeal AI, about how they grew what they grew, I would be saying, definitely it's going to be around influence. It's going to be around building up your domain expertise, building yourself up as a thought leader, building a community around that, and then being able to take your growth and really drive it forward. And that is what happened at the beginning, but this is a kind of a tale of two cities. So everybody listening today, you're going to get a nice big surprise, because you are not only going to learn about building your domain expertise, which I love, by the way, it's still my favorite thing in the whole world, is how do you elevate yourself above all of your competitors by having a group of very loyal, raving fans, love what you're doing so much that they want to buy from you. They want to be involved in you. They want to actually be a part of what you're building. How do you actually build that? But actually, in this case, we're also going to talk about how do we then, after that becomes something that you've gone to the level that you can go to, how do you then turn that into something else where you can then find another channel and then really blast through at that channel as well? So can you, just to create context for everybody here, and could you help people understand a little bit? Better Meal AI, it solves a huge problem in the world, because most people don't know how to eat, they don't know how to take care of themselves, they don't know anything about gut health, but you do. So talk to us about, before we talk about how you built your fame to be able to then build the sales at a lower cost of acquisition that would have been possible anywhere else. Talk to us a little bit about the genesis of Better Meal AI and why this is so necessary in the world.
Absolutely. So this started with my own journey and my challenges with certain health issues. So as a teenager, I've been pre-diabetic and I faced a lot of like health, menstrual health issues. And I always, thought that, it's just internal and it's like, happening, and the only cure is a symptomatic cure, which is to take medications. And at 16, my life was basically over with pre-diabetic medications. And I come from a family where, most of the doctors were present in the family, and none of them could help me. They just said, like, you just have to take medications all your life. That's it. It just did not sound right to me. And I had this, like a crazy rebel sort of attitude when they said, like, it's all medications. I'm like, that doesn't just sound right to me. Maybe there is a fix. And that's when my research journey started really early on. And I got introduced to gut health right back then, but not very much, at a very basic level. And that helped me, cure my conditions like pre-diabetes, and, like health conditions. And I started becoming a blogger after that, because the journey itself was like, truly, in a way, it was truly eye opening for me, that, the way I used to look at food and health, it just changed my perspective. So I wanted to share that with a lot of people suffering, like from various health issues like me. And, through that, I found my co-founder, and she actually had a 13-year-old who had health issues very similar to me.
You found her because she saw one of your blogs.
Yeah, she saw one of my blogs.
Yeah, and so I want to just draw a line underneath that point just very
Sure.
quickly. Normally, when building infamy in within your own product, it's not
Uh-huh.
just that you get
Yeah.
users, it's not just that you get finance, it's that you build the people around you. It is so important that when you find that thing that you
Yes.
know is so broken in the world that you want to fix, is that you
Yes.
start to become very vocal externally about that. And so,
Yes.
can you just talk a little bit, like, what did you do? Did you like post once a day, once a week, three times a week? What was it that managed to get you people following you at the very beginning?
Sure. I used to blog once a week. Like it involved a lot of research as well during blogging, because I was giving out a lot of like tidbits of information which was a specific disease related. So I used to blog like, once a week. I used to release some blog posts. And that's when, like my co founder who was following my blogs for almost 6 7 months reached out to me, and then she started talking about journey of her 13-year-old kid who had very similar issues like mine. I mean, 13-year-old and pre-diabetes, that sounded really, like bad, worrisome in a way that, we all are not just doing something right, that, we have some health issues, at this early age, stage. So,
Yeah.
and definitely we knew that, the root cause is gut health. All sorts of health issues from there, it starts with a simple one, and before we know it, Brian, can you hear me
Yeah,
okay?
Swati, you cut. Yeah, you could for a moment. We'll try and we'll let's see if we can make this work though. And so you brought in your co-founder, you were building up influence, and then you were doing the vlog every single week, which actually was filled full of difficult information to get out there. Then what happened? How did you actually build? How did you manage to build your followers? And at what period of time did you realize you had a product? Okay, we might have to try this again sometime. I'm going to tell a little bit
No, I
about the
can
story
hear,
because
I
poor
can
old
hear you
Swati
okay.
is having a tough time.
Can you
Yeah.
hear me okay?
Okay. Yeah. Let's give it one last go, Swati. And so talk to us about how you
Yeah.
built up the product and then how you got it, how you took it to the next level.
Yes. We started our, like clinical analysis at that point of time, myself and my co-founder, and we ended up pitching to a lot of hospitals, and one of the hospital agreed to our, proposal, and we started the trials, and COVID hit. So all the were remote, and we had like close to 500,000 like subjects for our trials, which was one of the largest during that point of time. And then
Yeah.
due to that trials itself, we could understand gut health through most simple means, through basic blood tests, like tests like metabolic panels. So our was just built around this to understand how the gut health is, you know, do these basic blood tests, product as well around this. And it's been close to almost 4 years since the product is built, and it's actually launched in US and India, and it's doing great.
Okay, good. And I'm going to come back to that. But like at the beginning, what I want to get across to everyone, and I did a very similar thing in early stage startup, is I made a very conscious decision. Number one, I had a perspective that was different to most perspectives. Most VCs' perspectives is find money from a limited partner, put money into a startup, make money work, hopefully get a better return. My feeling was there's something fundamentally wrong with the system. And I think once you realize that, it puts you into a place where you have a voice, right? My second decision was I would make sure I speak about it in as many places as possible. Swati did exactly the same thing. Now, what was beautiful was as she was doing this blog and as she's talking about it, this didn't take her 5 minutes to build. She had to continually make it better and better and better, research the information, understand different perspectives from different places. This takes time. Building your influence is not a shortcut. It's actually the long, harder way of doing things, but it concretes a very specific audience. Now, I remember then when the product was ready to launch, she had over 50,000 people who were
Yes.
loyal supporters. I'm not just talking a few people who clicks like every now and again. I'm talking about a loyal cult of 50,000 people that allowed you to launch the product with immediate success. So talk to us
Yes.
now that we know how you built it, talk to us about how you used that community of 50,000 people, where you kept them, and how you turned them into a success.
Sure. Actually, it's not 50, but it's actually 85,000 people. So the wait when when I first met you, Brian, that's when our wait list was at 35,000,
Yeah.
and we were in beta stage. We had just launched our beta, and we were kind of having an invite on basis beta, and the wait list just went on building, that it was so hard for us to like manage and invite the beta. So finally we launched the app in the end of 2022, and we launched it in 2 countries. But the trick here was, it was actually country based different strategy of marketing that we followed. So the wait list was ready, and how do I convert that to like loyal paying customers? That was the question. And it's B2C. B2C is really challenging. Although we are solving the best problem in the world, it's very tricky situation when it comes to customer retention.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one thing. And of course, like converting that wait list as well is another challenge. So at that point of time, I was just talking to somebody, like who went from Los Angeles to India to be an actor. And then she was telling me, like, she just was telling me that, in the US, we all follow a pattern where we communicate using email. And that's our main form of communication. Most of us communicate via email or iMessage, right? But in India, the main form of communication is WhatsApp.
Yeah.
For everything they're just using WhatsApp, which is pretty funny. She just said this, and then she just went back to what she was doing, and that time it just striked that, okay, I think I'm doing the wrong thing, wrong marketing strategies in here. So just revisited all my
But you
marketing.
did have, just to interlude, because I think you're going to
Yeah.
bring up something fascinating and
Yes.
something that, like, everybody needs to understand the power of WhatsApp and how you can use it to grow your company. Even though you know the power with your friends, it's the same thing when it comes to business, because your friends are the same people who buy stuff and they do it in a place that they're comfortable. But you didn't have a terrible time. Like email, you managed to convert reasonably well.
Yes.
You took
Yes.
in you took in your users, you
Yeah.
built up the solution, you converted quite a few of them into paying. The challenge became that after a while, it becomes an activity of diminishing returns, right?
Yeah.
You continue doing the same things, but the success stops. And I think a lot of startups that are listening to that are going to really resonate with the point of, oh my gosh, I got some people to love our product. Oh my gosh, I did this. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it stopped.
Yes.
And that was when you thought, oh, let's try WhatsApp.
Yes, that's exactly when I thought, let's try WhatsApp. And at the same time, I think, like this person telling me about how that is the main form of communication. So I adapted fast. I just acted. That's all. So I did not want to do any user testing, no, nothing. I just went at it. It all it took was just a strategize on how we are going to like get onto WhatsApp. And then after a week we were there. We started doing a lot of WhatsApp marketing in India. Conversion was crazy. Like in first week itself we converted 10% just via WhatsApp marketing, because it it just went viral and the word spread like wildfire once we had launched. And we were doing like tidbits of WhatsApp marketing and just showing how valuable the app can be for certain health issues. And then when we just like launched, it just came back as wildfire, where the downloads just kept on happening. And we are checking, and all the traffic was coming from WhatsApp. Not only did the waitlist convert, but we had word of mouth recommendations via WhatsApp as well. So somebody who is using it, who was a waitlist, started recommending that to friends and family, whoever and whatnot. And like outside waitlist conversions also started happening using WhatsApp. And that's like even before we could realize, we were already generating a revenue of 45,000 per month, and it was all thanks to the WhatsApp marketing. And like here
It's
we are today.
incredible. And I want to jump into WhatsApp marketing, but
Yeah.
just like my journey on WhatsApp, I remember when we took in one of our companies, Mercantly, their entire business was about building out a WhatsApp marketplace. And I remember thinking, this was a year or two ago. I remember thinking, is it that big? Not just a feature can be built on WhatsApp, not just a marketing channel, but an entire universe that could potentially build out a unicorn can be built out on WhatsApp. And that
Yes.
company were one of our fastest growing companies to get to they raised millions of dollars really quickly afterwards, and then did incredibly well with really fast growing sales. And
Yeah.
then we had a company which we were helping down in Mexico, and that company did an amazing job as well. They built up 250,000 users on a WhatsApp group with zero marketing on the WhatsApp group. And there was a group that was focused on making sure that women were safe in a
Hmm.
place that not all women are safe. But
Yeah.
because the brilliance about what you're doing and how you're building it out is about you're going to where the people live.
Yes.
That's what WhatsApp is. It's where people live. But the
Yes.
thing about going to where people live is you've got to speak to them about something that's relative to that place that they're living. So if you go there and you just try and sell them things and it feels inappropriate or wrong, it will go the opposite direction. But
Yes.
because you're speaking to them about something which is incredibly important, it's actually very easy for them to share. And
Yes.
so, can you talk a little bit about what you did? First of all, your results are crazy. You're growing at 200% growth right now. You're on fire. We should hit like $100,000 a month by, I believe. Well, you talk to us. Let me, even rather than me saying the numbers, talk to us about what's happened since you've been there, how everything is growing out, how it's impacting on the app, and what type of growth you're growing at.
Yeah, sure. As of now, like we still do what marketing via. So I would say like I think adaptability is most important when we, like when we see something new happening, a country is reacting in a particular way, we just jump at it. I think that is the main thing, because when I was pitching about WhatsApp marketing to some of my friends, they were like, I don't think that's sustainable, like, but I had a gut feeling that this is going to work out. So we just went at it and we started generating the revenue. Like I'm hoping we are going to like hit 100 k per month, by spring next year. That's the plan, that's the target. And like I really hope we get there soon. And I could say like a part of that will definitely go to WhatsApp marketing, because still, like, it's really active. I think it's catching fire right now, that like most of them are seeing the value of it right now, and they're adapting to it quite fast, which is amazing.
Yeah, and I like what Jim said there is actually what I'm sure everybody is thinking, which is, wow, okay, WhatsApp, great. How do you actually, because everybody has their WhatsApp contact list, everybody knows about WhatsApp groups, and probably nobody knows about WhatsApp marketing.
Yeah,
So how do you start? Like, how did you start? Did you
great
start
question.
looking, going through different groups of people, or do you advertise?
Not at
Just
all.
talk us through it
Nothing.
like we're children.
Nothing at all, actually. It was pretty simple. Um, it was actually, like
Huh?
in our wait list, when I started, collecting our wait list, we were even collecting, phone numbers with the email IDs. That's it. So I just used the phone numbers. So it was that simple. I had, like, I thought it's always valuable, like, to keep, like phone numbers, just because we can just create like a text message sort of a thing when we have launched. But I never knew that's going to be very helpful, down the road, where we can actually access WhatsApps of people. And I can say that almost, 98% of people who had provided the phone numbers had their WhatsApp associated with the same number. Only I
Wow.
think 2% we lost, which was not, not a problem, because we covered that through the recommendations, where people, from WhatsApp, they started, you know, um, recommending that via word of mouth. So, yeah, like I already had the phone number. All we did was just reach out to them via a BetterMeal AI business WhatsApp.
And then you get them. And I think this is, again, another very important thing. Email is becoming extremely difficult. We know every
Yes.
trick on email, like we know
Yeah.
the Apollos, we know the domain warmings, we know the outreach, we know the
Yeah.
thousands. What's
Yeah.
the problem though? The problem is, like, email is kind of for business. And because email is for business, we want to get to the emails that we want to get to. But if we're receiving 300 emails a day, our job becomes to delete as many emails as we can as quickly as we can, because we associate this with a
Yes.
blockage to work, right? And so actually it's becoming the law of opposites with regards to email right now. And
Yeah.
so that what was so clever about what Swati did, which was to be able to take and say, ask them one extra question, which is, let me have your number. And because it's such a topic that people will want to talk about inside their community, which is what WhatsApp is, she then invited them into the community. And then how many people did you end up having in the community of WhatsApp?
Um, from India itself, I had around 68 to 72,000 people, on the wait list. So it was
Yeah,
like a major
incredible.
chunk. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful place to be able to create a community. You can allow them to speak. People can have comments about it. People can talk about it. Adds to the conversation. It would be like, I think, if Slack grew up and became a very beautiful community where
yeah,
people actually enjoyed the conversation, it looks like WhatsApp, right? So it's
yeah.
really clever. And then can you do advertising in WhatsApp and actually pay to find users
Absolutely.
or
I think you can do mostly more personalized way actually the advertising, because what we do is we sort of group people, because the application BetterMeal is for like patients suffering from specific health conditions, right? So in a way we are actually categorizing people based on that, and we handpick like people who are suffering from specific conditions, and we advertise them in a different way. So it is hyper personalized advertising, right? So it is really personalized to them and they resonate to it. And that's exactly how they're able to, like I'm able to convert them as, loyal paid users. So we still send a lot of like, advertisements, via WhatsApp. And I think one thing that stands out as compared to email is WhatsApp is like, we can do hyper personalized marketing. And then like you said, like most of the emails don't, it just doesn't go and sit in spam. It's out there for people to read and make a decision, and it's like a fast email. So a lot of benefits definitely using WhatsApp marketing today.
And how far can you take WhatsApp? And just for everybody listening, like WhatsApp has got billions of people using it. Like we're not talking about a few people here. You have them there.
Yeah,
And the people that are generally using WhatsApp, they think of it in a very loving way. Like they think of it with their family and their friends. They share photos with their moms and their dads and their kids. They have the
yeah,
groups of the things that they really like there. So if you
yeah,
can build a group in WhatsApp, it's not something that we want to delete. The opposite. Very few of
yeah,
us actually delete anything in WhatsApp, right?
yeah.
The community keeps on adding new comments. We have a choice of whether we want to look at the new comments or whether we don't. And we build a group of people that have common interests. So it's
Yes,
actually a wonderful place to be
yeah,
able to build out your audience. And I believe it's of all of the social media platforms, because I see it as a social media platform these days. Of all
yes.
the social media platforms, I see it as the one that actually has the easiest access and lower cost of acquisition to be able to build up your user base.
Yes, I think when it comes to social media, again, like, there is a lot of advertising happening even there. They target audience. But it's again like if one person is talking about diabetes, you find 100 things like, around diabetes, like, which is similar posts. Your content can get lost, during the process as well. But when it comes to WhatsApp, again, like, the content doesn't get lost, the message is reached. And it's like, we know there is a sure shot yes or no. It's like that quick. So in a way, it's it is social media. It's a lot, like more active social media, more valuable, and the best turnover sort of a social media that I would say, which is super helpful in today's age where we want to get people engaged. We want them to use the product, we want them to understand a new feature, we want them to ask us questions for any customer feedbacks. Everything is happening via WhatsApp, which is like like the simplest quicker way to solve the users issues as well, and keep them engaged, and of course have loyal customers.
Incredible. And are you actually, before I ask that question, let me just go back into what Jim mentioned here.
Yeah,
Because this is actually a really interesting conversation because
yeah,
we have email, of course, we know that LinkedIn outreach is a
yes,
different type of feeling. We know that SMS outreach is a different type of feeling, and WhatsApp is a different type of feeling. I kind of look at the difference between text outreach and WhatsApp outreach
yes,
as your kid has done something wrong. Text outreach is when you tell your kid how terrible your kid is and how they've done
yeah,
something wrong. Well, WhatsApp is you bring your kid to a football game and then or whatever the thing is that your kid loves doing, and you let your kid learn lessons from the game they're watching to try and discover it themselves. And because when I get texts, a text is almost the same for me now as email. If it's a cold text, 100% of the time I will delete it.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
uh, I would have loved this to be like, another question answer session. Like I would have loved to know if Jim has tried, any kind of like, WhatsApp business, like outside business, if he's tried to buy something or anything, because the feel of WhatsApp business via SMS text, two different things, very different, you know, it's totally different. Because like using WhatsApp, we are able to share, like the actual process of what's happening via with the feature. With SMS, that's not possible. All I can get is yes or no answer, text stop, all these things. It's like basically like a word sort of a thing, word sort of an, like a feature that works, which doesn't give me much input. But this has given me incredible input on the interests of the customer. What will that do? That will actually help me personalize more for the target customers. Like these particular people are liking this kind of, feature. So in a way, I'm still doing A/B testing as well, in a way where I'm actually talking about a particular feature, and like I'm asking some inputs via some options, yes, no, agree, disagree, and they're actually doing that. They're communicating with us, where I understand what is the interest of customer, and I can actually work on personalizing the feature for, like target customers that we have. So that's incredible as well. It's, like it's helpful. That again, what will in turn, it's gonna like help the users stay longer, because we are actually giving them what they want.
Yeah, and they're also supporting. And so,
Yeah,
Jim, like that conversation that I mean about your kid when you're giving out to your kid versus letting your kid learn from something else is, the face. You can probably see your kid's face right now when you're giving out. They're just
yeah.
blank. The kids just say, "Look, just say what you got to say until you finish saying what you got to say, and then
Yeah,
I'm going to go and do what I was going to do before." While in WhatsApp, all of these people are contributing. Like it's about creating a group, it's about creating a community, and it's about everybody. Like I just went to Bitcoin Nashville, which was insane actually with what happened with Trump and everything else. But like the entire groups, I was in 7 different WhatsApp groups. And so everybody's contributing, everybody's a part of it. People are like, I go here, I go there. Now, I will say I first got access really to the power of texting with a startup called Community, and Community was Ashton Kutcher's group, and
wow.
I got direct access to that because we
Okay.
had a chat who came around the dojo, and he's like, "Hey, I want to come into Expert Dojo. I want to use the event space. We have a product, and I like doing that so I can find new companies, new products." And we actually ended up investing in them. But he said, "I'll bring 500 people to Expert Dojo," and in his case, SMS was really useful because through Community, they were able to geofence a bunch of different people, find out how far they were away, send
Yeah,
invites to people and speak with them. But there's very, very, very few cases where actually it gets that type of utility. And even that is just event to event to event to event to event.
yeah,
In WhatsApp, you are building your cult in the place that the cult wants to live. And the only thing that you need, there are 2 things that are really important. And that's why, like at the beginning of this, I stitched together the incredible job that Swati did with building up her own influence and her domain expertise by creating this content, putting it out in the world, making it hyper interesting, making it something different that people had seen, and then building up her users. But she was so smart because at the same time, she took the telephone numbers. And the telephone numbers, like my telephone number, is the WhatsApp number. And that meant she could then create a home inside a home that those people could go on the next level of going on the journey with her. And that's actually having a voice themselves as well. It's very powerful. So any comments on that, but also like, where does this go next?
absolutely. So, like I'm saying, we are coming up with new features, and we make sure that the users are benefiting from the new features and they're engaged on a day-to-day basis. BetterMeal is your AI nutritionist wherever you go. Basically, you're at a restaurant, just scan the menu. You're gonna, know your health score for each and every food item. You can make right choices. You're at vacation, still go to the restaurant, scan the menu. Or you're at home cooking, you can search up a recipe. For each ingredient, we have a health score. So you're at work, still, like you're ordering something. So we got them covered. The main focus here is to help them build a connection with the food, not fear food, but build a connection with food and make sure that food is the first line of treatment. So that's exactly what we are trying to solve, and we are including whatever features necessary that's going to get the users to the recovery faster. So that is our goal. That's it. So if we want to make sure all the current users and the new users are recovering faster from whatever health issues they're suffering from, and we want to make sure that they're building a connection with food rather than fearing that, and we want to make sure that food is their first line of action in treatment rather than medications.
And
Medications is just supplementing that. So yeah.
yes, it's terrible. And so obviously at the beginning, I loved what you did, which is why we invested in you.
Sure.
But at the same time, like I also know that unless a company has the ability to be able to grow an incredible customer base, keep that customer base loyal, and then keep on scaling up, no matter how much we love the products, it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
they'll never get out to the world and never become venture backable. And what's so brilliant about you building up your domain expertise, having something to say, finding out who your group of people are. Because what I don't want people to think here is, oh, this is great. What he's saying is get a bunch of telephone numbers, assume that they're WhatsApp numbers, invite them all to a WhatsApp group and start getting to talking. No, you
No.
need your people. They
Yes.
have to be your ideal customer profile. They have to be the people
Yeah.
that either believe in gut health over everything else, which, to be
Yes.
fair, we would need to be idiots not to think that, but we have to believe that, or we have to be open to believing that. If we
Yes.
are not open to believing that, if we are still brainwashed into thinking in a different way, and that sugar is the greatest thing that the earth has ever given to us, even though it's not, then they don't want to be in that group. Sweaty doesn't want them in that group,
Yeah.
right? We carry them somewhere else. So you have to find your community. You have to build your community. You have to use your influence to then get your community into an actual group. Then you put them into WhatsApp, and then you build it. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't have 1 million people in your WhatsApp group within the next 3 to 5 years. Does that
Thank you.
seem silly to you, or does that seem realistic?
Uh, that seems realistic, and that's the target. So I hope we can get there much faster, with valuable information and, with the value that we create for the user.
Yeah, and you know what's so powerful about it as well? I always start with the fundamental core belief that we have to love our customer. Like we have to. We have no choice. Whether it's me as a venture capitalist, I have to love your product. And by an extension, you have to love like we have to. And most entrepreneurs, and by extension of that, we say, look, you need to be spending 30% of your time deeply engaged with your customers. That's one of the reasons why I love doing these podcasts, because I get to deeply engage and understand on a far nicer level where you are. But you're doing this better than anyone else, because while all of the other entrepreneurs are out there doing questionnaires here and, hey, do you like our products? You literally are building 1 million people community where you can ask them anything and everything, and
Yes.
not just have their answer back from it, but also have all the answers from everybody else in the group that can supplement it and help you actually get the correct answers. So from building a product's perspective, this is huge. This is so huge. I'm actually sitting here and I'm thinking, hang on, Brian, we need to build a WhatsApp group. What's wrong with you, for God's sake? Ash, we need to build a proper WhatsApp group. This is silly, for crying out loud. Yeah, this is huge. And so that's the game, really, isn't it? It's not just about I want to sell more and more and more and more and more. It's I want to build a deep love affair with my customers, and I can only do that by being this close to them.
Yeah, it's like, building a community actually builds trust and, a lot of value as well. And of course, like, we sometimes intimately get to know the customer's needs, which is so valuable for us, because how many of us can actually talk to million people? It's humanly not possible. When you're trying to build a company, it's really hard. So I think this is a very helpful way to actually communicate with your community, be there with them, like understand them and provide what is the required value that they actually need. So yeah.
Yeah, and I also believe this is going to become the influencer channel of the future. In the
Yeah.
same way that people look back and they were like, oh, look at Gary Vaynerchuk. He got onto YouTube really fast and he was there. And then let's look at like such and such who got onto Instagram really fast. Well, this is the YouTube. This is the Instagram. This
Yeah.
is Facebook or the TikTok of today. Celebrities are going to be built and loved on WhatsApp. And
Oh,
if you
they
can
are
build,
already there. Sorry
there
to
you go.
interrupt you. Yeah,
They're
they're already
there.
there. They're using broadcast channels, by the way, and they just send messages. Nobody has access to reply, but they're able to see these broadcast messages about their life updates and everything using WhatsApp. So it's already happening.
So, message to everyone who is listening to this. First of all, I want to throw a message out to investors who are listening. Your only job is the same job as mine, and that's to find a company that's doing 200% growth, that's maintaining retention at an extremely high level at over 80%, that is able to acquire customers at a cost which is a fraction of what their lifetime value of what their customers is going to be, with an entrepreneur that has got our entrepreneurs that have these skill sets to be able to bridge the gap, to be able to get you past a Series A round and be able to give you a massive multiple on your company, and with enough runway to be able to keep going forward. Okay, so right there, all of those things right there, right? At the beginning, when we invested just based on the fact that we felt that Swati was able to achieve amazing things and that the market size was big enough to be able to make this thing massive. Y'all don't even need to worry about it. You now have all of these additional facts: 200% growth this year, 200% growth last year. She's going to hit $100,000 a month within the next 12 months, less. And then she's going to hit another 200% after that to bring her up to like $3 million. $3 million a year in revenue. So it's a great company. It's a great founder. You can see how she's building it out, and I'm sure you will be as impressed as we are as to how she has found and built out such an amazing customer base doing this. And remember, WhatsApp is just a channel. The app is where everybody goes. This is just the place that everybody gets to rest on the journey while they're on the way of deciding if they're going to buy to actually buying it. That's that. Okay, for entrepreneurs and startups who are listening, our job, because we are all entrepreneurs, our job is to find the channel which is the one that our future customers love the most. It will change. That is the frustrating thing of startup. What would be the amazing channel today will evolve and change going forward. But we haven't spoken about WhatsApp. Very few people are speaking about WhatsApp. It is a channel which has got billions of people that are using it. Not only that, people go to WhatsApp without anxiety and stress. They go there to learn, to build, to love, and to buy. If you have the opportunity to build an audience there, you have to intentionally build that audience, because it will allow you to build your own fame. It will allow you to build your own influence, and it will allow you to build your own community. And when you become the mouthpiece of the community, whether it is advertising on WhatsApp that you can do, whether it's about taking the numbers of the people you have and creating a community on WhatsApp that you build, or as Swati just said there, whether it is that you become a broadcast media star, it is an amazing place to be able to build your business from. So build your domain expertise. I'm going to leave you with the last word, Swati. And actually, just to add a little bit of pressure on for you, because I've already told all the investors why they would be idiots not to invest into you. So this last comment you're going to give is going to be about, for you, what is the greatest things that you've learned as an entrepreneur from from the very beginning to the end, just a minute or so, and everything that you've learned that people can take away. But while you're thinking about that, I'll just finish this piece here. So
Yeah,
you can build
just
up your influence. Yeah, I'm going to give you a second. I'm going to give you a second. I know you got this, but I'm going to give you a second. It's got to be the best. Everything from then until now. What are the things you've learned? And you can't say something like just try your hardest. You can't
no,
say persevere, even though like I know you persevered so hard to get to this point here. It's got to be goal. So I'll give you a second to think about what I'm saying this. So you
uh,
have to build up your influence. You have to get yourself to like a really strong place. You have to have something to say. And then you have to make sure
yeah,
that you're testing the channels which are best for you. Now, Swati, take these people home. Last minute is all yours.
sure. Yeah, thank you. I would say make it work no matter what. Just make it work. That's all. It's that simple. There are, like plan A's, plan B's, plan Z's, plan A ones, plan B ones, plan Z ones. So it's like I have got numerous, like situations where it was like this is not gonna happen. This just does not make sense. This is not realistic. But like I could only just, I never thought about, okay, like what to do now, or, like this is not going to happen like everybody's saying. I just thought a way and just made it work. That's all. So I think that is where, like the survival comes from. I know it's like hard when it comes to fundraising, when it comes to some features not working, so many things happen, so many things break. But in the end, our job is to just make it work, make it work, make it work, make it work. So, and when we look back, we've already come like, a long journey, and, it just feels like, okay, it was all worth it. So I would just say, just make it work because, it's possible.
Okay, I'm gonna say this for you. Do something that you absolutely adore. And I'm saying it because I'm looking at Jim's comments, which I just put on the screen there as well, right? So
Sure.
I'm going to speak to what I really know is the important thing to you is that you find something that you know is so unjust and so terrible in the world and you know that it's not necessary. You know that poisoning people for a living, which is what most of the major food manufacturers in the world
Yeah.
do, is
Yeah.
just an awful, awful, awful thing that you cannot stand by and watch. And then
Yes.
you decide that you're going to start a conversation. And that conversation is going to be probably to your detriment because it's going to have you working 10, 15, 20 hours a day, and you don't do it for money at the beginning because you do it for this deep purpose because there are
Yes.
hundreds of millions of people like Jim all over the world who are being
Yes.
poisoned every single day. And if you can create a spark in your community by tethering purpose with transformative impact, then you can literally change the world. This is why this WhatsApp group is incredibly successful for you. This is why your app is growing hand over
Yeah.
fist every single month. This is why you're growing at 200%. This is why your community loves you. And
Yeah.
I challenge every single founder who's watching this,
Yeah.
are you doing that? Are you just adding a want or a vitamin, as they would say in lean startup, to something that your consumers don't really need, but it's kind of
Yeah.
nice to have? Or
Yeah.
are you actually saving the world? Swati is saving the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much. And yes, you are right. I think processed food is not even food as of today. And our main goal is to really help people, see food in a different way. Food is medicine, it's not food as medicine. And we really promote food is medicine. And I really hope people can understand to this and stick by this and, like lead a healthy lifestyle.
There it is. Purpose, deep, meaningful purpose, tethered with incredibly transformative impact. Thank you, Swati. Great session. Everyone, WhatsApp, 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 WhatsApp. Build your influence, build your WhatsApp community, add
Thank you.
tremendous value, and we'll tell you
Yeah.
more about your product than anything else. And we're back again next week, same time, same place. Thanks, Swati.